Hey, I'm Neverlag, and it's Steam Next Fest time, so you know what that means. These are my top 10 demos I've played so far. Let's go. Kicking things off, we have Gurei. No idea how to say that. It sounds like I'm trying to say gray, really fancy. Gurei. But this demo was really dope, actually. It was one that I almost skipped, but it's essentially a 2D boss rush game with a very unique monochromatic art style, although it does have splashes of color that are very well implemented. But the entire hook of this game is that you can fight the bosses in any order, and depending on which order you fight them in, they all have various difficulty levels. And so if you fight boss A first, it will be its easiest version. If you fight boss A third, it will be much harder and have some different moves and more health and do more damage. And that's just a really cool concept. So I did the entire demo. I played through all three bosses in one order, and then I played through all three bosses in a different order to kind of see how it works. And yeah, some bosses gain some new abilities, some new movement patterns. They did 2 damage instead of 1. And I really like the art style here. I will say the movement was a little clunky and slow at first, but I kind of got used to it, and then I understood the more almost slower paced, methodical feel of combat, and I actually kind of came to like it. So there is that. I do think they could kind of polish it up a little bit, but this one's coming out pretty soon, so maybe not. But the demo finished with a 4th and final extra hard boss that legitimately took me like a dozen attempts to beat. So I came out of this very positive. I'm actively looking forward to this. I think I will pick it up and play it when it releases on July 23rd. We're starting off with some bangers here because the next game I played was AGXGP, which definitely needs a different name. Good lord. But everything else about this game is just purely fantastic. From start to finish, I had a freaking blast with this demo. It's an anti-gravity speed racing game, and I guess the one thing you need to know is that it plays great. It controls great. Not only are you flying through these high-tech sci-fi tracks at breakneck speed, but there are also some almost puzzle platformer additions to the racing that I can tell are going to give it a very high skill ceiling. For instance, there's right and left trigger, which will essentially perform a dash across the track so you can avoid obstacles. You have a boost that goes on cooldown. You can use it at any point, then it goes on cooldown for a few seconds. And then in addition to that, there are certain things you can do on the track that will also give you a boost. If you're above a jump pad, you can jump into the air and switch to a different track, and that will give you a boost. If you get a jump or go into the air, you can push a button to suck back down to the track, and that will give you a boost. And so all of the racing becomes, I mean, not only are you trying to hug the corners and get good lines and make sure you're braking correctly and all the things that you would do in a racing game, but now you're also trying to figure out, when do I boost so that, oh, I have a jump pad coming up. Let me boost right now, then I'll use the jump pad to gain a boost, and then my boost will come off cooldown and I can boost again. There's like a cerebral element to figuring out the fastest way to get around these tracks, and it's actually quite difficult. There were several tracks in the demo that I actually couldn't figure out how to get the best time on. So this has all of the elements of a time trial racer that I love in something like Trackmania Turbo, which I mention all the time, and I can just see myself losing tons of hours to this game. The presentation is phenomenal. It looks and runs so good. This game has the feel of something that has a bigger budget than I'm guessing that it has. But either way, I am so stoked for this game, and we don't have to wait too long. Hopefully it has a window of a Q3 2026 release, so keep your eyes out for AGXGP. Speaking of time trial games, let's take a look at Echobreaker. The name of the game here is to get through each level as fast as you can, making sure to kill every single enemy, and yeah, just generally be very quick at platforming. There's some almost race elements here as well, where you're trying to find the best lines and the most efficient way to get through these tracks, as well as a few light puzzle elements where things like the weapons have a certain number of charges. So when you pick up a weapon, you're trying to figure out the most efficient way to use the ammo that you have, or later on you gain the ability to consume one of your extra lives to do a double jump. And so all of this amounts to you trying to figure out the fastest way to get from point A to point B. It obviously has that time trial element that I love from a game like Trackmania Turbo, but is more similar to a game like Neon White. The presentation and art style here I'm loving. I really love the simple retro aesthetic they have going on, and it's got that easy to pick up, difficult to master kind of thing that you want from a game like this, as well as the one more run feeling where you get to the end and you're just like, let me go one more time, see if I can get that time down just a little bit more. Everything here seems to be clicking. No firm release date yet, but Echobreaker is slated for 2026. Alright, let's slow things down a little bit because the next demo I checked out was Trifolium, The Adventures of Gurei Pretzelneck. What a name. This is a puzzle game where you play as a giraffe with an infinitely long neck that plays more like Snake, where you use the D-pad up, down, left, and right to control his movement. The puzzle design here I thought was very intelligently designed and well communicated to the player without saying a word, which is always tricky to do. None of these felt overly obtuse, and yet there was a decent amount of difficulty to these puzzles. So I really enjoyed my time with this demo. I think the presentation and art style I really like. And then there's also some good quality of life that is needed in a game like this. Early on in the demo, it indicated to me that I would have needed to have done something different at the very beginning. And so it shows you can reset to any point at any time very easily. But then I was like, I'm gonna have to redo everything I just did that took like 2 minutes. That's very tedious. And instead there's a mechanic where after I did what I needed to in the very beginning, I progressed just a little bit, and there was an autocomplete function where it auto-completed everything I had done before. So obviously some great design, some quality of life has gone into this. It's also oddly satisfying as you're solving individual puzzles getting from point A to point B, but it's all part of a giant interconnected map. And so as you continue to make your way around this map, it's just very satisfying to see all the places you've been. And this demo had kind of like a maze section in the center. And so as you solved it, you got to see Gurei Pretzelneck's neck. Gurei Pretzelneck's neck. Fill in all the spaces. Just oddly satisfying. I really enjoyed this. I think this is going to be an awesome little puzzle game. And no exact date, but it is slated for November 2026. Moving on from Gurei Pretzelneck, the next demo I checked out was Zwaard, which is a game that, first of all, I don't know how to pronounce, and second of all, I've had my eyes on for quite a while, so it was nice to finally get a chance to play it and see how it's shaping up. This is very much a Hyper Light Drifter spiritual successor type of game, albeit with a different color palette, and the world also gave me some Last of Us vibes with the plot and some of the things that were going on. But it is separating itself from Hyper Light Drifter in a few key ways as well. First of all, there's some really good voice acting, which I wasn't expecting, and was really refreshing in a game like this. You kind of get used to just having to read text, but the main character and a lot of the other dialogue is actually voiced already and really added a lot to this demo. So I love to see that. The other addition that is very unique is the weapon system. Instead of just having a sword from start to finish in this game, you instead have pieces of swords that you can find scattered throughout the world, like the hilt or the blade, and you can actually piece together your own sword based on what you want it to do or just what you have available at the time from scrounging around this post-apocalyptic world. And I don't know, it's very novel. I had fun with it. There's also a weapon degradation system in this game that a mechanic it shows you early on. Some debris falls in front of you, some metal debris, and the game tells you that your sword is not sharp enough to break through the debris. So you need to take some of the stuff that's in your inventory and recycle it to be able to sharpen your sword so that you can progress and continue exploring. So some interesting mechanics that they've woven into this game. I really like the presentation, although I will say, even with games like Hyper Light Drifter, I do struggle sometimes with the super pixelated world being difficult to decipher and like figure out. Sometimes something's blocking my path and I literally can't, it doesn't look like there's anything there. So some of the visual communication I struggle with in these games. But I also think it's something that you adjust to over time, and I was finding myself doing that even in the demo here. So I am really glad that this game seems to be shaping up well, considering it seems like it's been in development for quite some time. There's no specific date yet for Zwaard, but it is scheduled for 2026, so hopefully we get it. The next demo was for Valor Mortis, which is a game I've had my eyes on for a while. I think a lot of people know about this one, but I was curious to get hands-on and see how it actually controlled, because the premise is essentially, what if Lies of P, but first person? And I would have thought the answer to that question is no, but it turns out I think the answer is yes, because this demo rocked. It feels so good to control. The movement in combat is very fast-paced and fluid, especially considering it's in first person. But yeah, everything here was just great. You've got your parries and your attacks, your heavy attacks. It's very much a Dark Souls type of game, but you have a dash, so you can move around quickly and avoid enemy attacks. And then it's also reminding me a little bit of BioShock with your offhand, where you can wield a pistol, or you can wield, some types of magic, or throw fire at enemies. And it all just comes together. It's some weird amalgamation of Doom and Dark Souls and Bloodborne and BioShock, and it just works. They've nailed the gameplay here, which is the most important part. It feels really good to control. As far as the visuals and the performance, no issues whatsoever. Everything looked and ran great here. And then the final boss was pretty difficult. Took me a few tries to beat the final boss of the demo, and was just really satisfying. The combat is difficult, satisfying to master, and I'm just really looking forward to the full game now that we finally have a release date of October 13th. The next demo was Lose Lagoon, and this is also one I've had my eyes on for quite a while. It has big mascot energy from the early console days, maybe like PS2 era, and also a ton of tailspin vibes, which if you know what that is, then you're old like me. But the demo here, it started out a little rough. The first few minutes I was like, man, this might need more time to cook. I don't know, guys. But by the end of the demo, I was pretty much sold. I really love the vibes in this game. Just the tropical tailspin vibes, exploring, doing little quests for the NPCs on the island. A lot of the gameplay amounts to you're blowing and sucking. You got your suck cannon from Ratchet and Clank. You're picking up salvaging all the wood off the beach, and then you use the right trigger to suck in materials, metals and wood and scraps that you find, and then you use the left trigger to spit them out at objects that need them. Like early on, you're repairing the plane, or you can repair the dock or bridges or steps. And there's not a lot to the gameplay. It's very simple. Again, it's got that mascot energy, but it's just fun. It's just fun to play. It's very charming. You get a little taste of the flying around in the airplane during the demo as you fly to another island. And once I got there, I picked up a new quest to go find this one dude for a MacGuffin. And there's a new mechanic kind of introduced with the blowing and the sucking, where I had to go find these water seeds to water these plants that became platforms so I could cross this section. And none of this is new or innovative for the platforming genre, but it is all being done well here. And it's enjoyable, it's fun to play. I think the presentation and art style is very charming. It reminds me a lot of Spyro, which I love. And then at the end of the demo, they had a little gift for people who played the demo, which I thought was a really cool concept, where you could give them your address or email or whatever, and they would send you a postcard, and then you also unlock a cosmetic in the game at launch. And I just thought, you know what, that's a really cool idea for demos. Like, more games should do that. Or Lose Lagoon just stole my identity, I'm not sure. Anyways, this game is coming out very soon with a release date of August 27th. Oh, I do have one major criticism. What is happening with this character's voice? I have no idea what that is. Decisions were made. I don't know who signed off on that. But we move on. Keeping it cozy for just a moment longer, the next demo was Rover's Tale, which is an isometric survival exploration game with some classic Zelda elements thrown in, where you play as the titular Rover, and you're just roving all over the place, man. You're roving around this alien planet, trying to figure out what's going on. You have no memory because you're a video game protagonist, and you basically have to explore and build up a base. There's some creature collection elements in the gameplay here, which is really cool. You get this little jellyfish net that you can roll around and capture creatures with and bring them back to your base to research, and then obviously humanely set them free. But you gain research points that you can then use to upgrade your base or the rover itself. And then the other function of the creature collection is somewhat of a Metroidvania system, where you can capture various creatures that have a unique ability that you can use one time. And so you'll essentially set them free, they'll perform their one ability, and then they'll wander away. And just a really interesting concept for a video game mechanic, where early in the demo you come to a bunch of vines blocking your way. And so you have to go and capture this fire wasp and then go to the vines, set the wasp free, and then it lights everything on fire, and then you can proceed. So I'm a little bit curious to see how that mechanic evolves, and how far you'll have to take a creature. Oh, maybe you needed a creature from way over in this other area to access this new area you're trying to get to. I think there's some cool things that could be done with that mechanic. And despite its coziness, I'm not an avid cozy gamer, but even in spite of that, I found myself wanting to continue and explore this world and see what was in that cave or what was over that hill. The art style I'm really loving here. It's very dreamy and painterly and has this radial blur that just creates a really unique aesthetic I was definitely vibing with. So I enjoyed my time with the demo here. I'm looking forward to the full game. We don't have a specific release date, but it is slated to come out sometime this year in 2026. Let's move on to something a little less cozy with the demo for Mortal Shell 2, and this can mostly serve as a PSA to anyone out there who enjoys Souls games but has not played the original Mortal Shell. You should go check it out because it's really good. It brings some new, unique ideas to the table for the genre, for the formula, and it's just definitely worth playing. As for Mortal Shell 2, the demo here, it really seems like it's shaping up to be bigger and better in just about every way. The gameplay and art style are very similar to the first game, which I would expect. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there are also plenty of returning mechanics. There's the hardening effect that returns here in the second game, as well as the different shells that you can find that act as different characters, kind of, with different stats. They've brought a new camera mode that's more of a dynamic over-the-shoulder camera mode, which I didn't really love. I just defaulted back to the traditional, more zoomed-out action camera. But the world here is super compelling. The combat is it has a heft to it. It's very chunky, very, very satisfying to take out some of these enemies. The enemy design is great. And then back to the world design, it's got some really cool fantasy elements mixed with a bit of alien stuff going on. Kind of think maybe along the lines of Bloodborne. Later in the demo, you find this giant egg that you have to bring to this city, and then you find out kind of the premise of the game is you're going to go out and collect all of these eggs in this open zone / open world map that seems quite a bit bigger than the first game. But yeah, I'm really excited to have a brand new Mortal Shell to explore. Like I said, I think the first game is super underrated. You should go play it. It's typically on sale for like $5 or less. And I can't wait for the sequel here. Nothing in the demo changed my mind. Everything seems a little bit bigger and a little bit better. And yeah, no firm release date, but it is slated for sometime in 2026, hopefully. Alright, I've tried to keep all of these games that are coming out sometime soon or allegedly in 2026, but the final demo I have for my super duper awesome fun top 10 demos list is The Edge of Water. For starters, just the premise of this world where you have characters, or the main character can walk around on the surface of the water, and how that changes the world and the way things are built, like these towns that are just built on the water with steps going into the water because people can just walk off into the lake or whatever, you know. It's a really cool concept, and then you combine that with the fact that the character has a windsurfing ability. It's just great vibes. It reminds me a lot of jet skiing through the channels at Lake Powell or something like that, which is something I really love. I'm really digging just the setup for this game. And then beyond that, the gameplay is mostly exploration with some light platforming elements, some combat, some light puzzles. It all comes together to be enjoyable and peaceful and very tranquil. I love the look of the water here, the translucent Caribbean blue. Again, great vibes. The combat is simple, but it's satisfying. It's enough to keep me engaged. There were several encounters that had me thinking about my positioning and making sure that, you know, you use your windsurfing ability to close the gap quickly on an enemy or to get out of range of an attack very quickly. You have a boomerang, so you can attack at distance, as well as a close-up melee option. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it was enough that it was enjoyable. It wasn't a detriment to the game. And then, you know, there's some light puzzle elements as well. At one point in the game, there were some giant koi fish that would follow me as I windsurfed along the surface of the water, which is, first of all, again, just a really cool concept. But they were able to leverage that into some different puzzle mechanics as well. So I really enjoyed my time with this demo by the end of it. It's just a world I wanted to explore, and I am sad to say that this one has a release window of Q4 2027. So I'm somewhat terrified of who knows how long it's going to be before we actually get a date on this game and we get to play it. But I left the demo wanting more, and if it looks cool to you, don't forget to wishlist it, because we're going to forget about this game by the time it comes out in 2029. But there you have it. Those are my top 10 demos of the Steam Next Fest for summer 2026 so far. Please let me know if you found any of these games that you enjoyed, that are new to you, that you're going to go ahead and wishlist. Let me know what you liked, as well as any demos you found that you think I should check out. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.